Disability Channel.
And I am Kevin Frankish from The Happy Molecule.
Put the mic on, and I'm Dave Stevens here at Super Bowl 55 in Tampa Bay, making my first TD show appearance. So I'm very excited to join you guys.
This is fabulous. Today's show is going to be so unique because you've got Canada and the US, and you have a Super Bowl aficionado on the Today Show on the Disability Channel, along with two newbies to the Super Bowl world.
Yeah, and in fact, what I've had to do here, Dave, is I had to Google who's playing in the Super Bowl. So
that Grey Cup is a little bit before the.
Yeah, I don't even
Bowl,
follow
right?
that. I just, it's amazing, and especially this year, right? It's different. It doesn't matter whether you're a football fan or not. Super Bowl is always a time to watch. You always watch that and you get excited about it, but it's different this year, isn't it?
It is. It's different because of the COVID atmosphere and everything that's here, but it's also different because the storyline that you have is arguably the greatest quarterback of all time in Tom Brady, who is the past, facing off with the greatest quarterback potentially of the future in Patrick Mahomes. So, I'm rooting for Tom because I'm 55 and closer to 43 than I am to 26 or 27 for Patrick. But it's almost like the league fixed the teams they wanted to be in the Super Bowl. They didn't. But to get that storyline of Tom Brady leaving the Patriots to 6 Super Bowls, coming to Tampa, a ragtag group that has struggled for years, to take them on the road 3 times in the playoffs to the Super Bowl. And then you have Patrick Mahomes again winning the Super Bowl last year, a great offense, a couple of burps here and there, but otherwise a great season for them. So yeah, it's a win-win for everybody here in the States. And because of COVID, I think more people are going to be watching because they're home and they can't go to Super Bowl parties, or they're not supposed to have Super Bowl parties. So it's going to be a great game. We got the weekend as the halftime entertainment. So other than the emptiness of this Radio Row and the celebrities that normally are walking around, it's still status quo.
And Tracy, we must remind Dave where the weekend is from.
Of where the weekend is from?
Mm-hmm.
Well, thank you for pulling me in, but I'm going to throw it right back at you, Kevin. What do you mean?
From Scarborough. He's from Toronto.
Yeah,
yeah, there you go.
Look at that. And you're talking to 2 Torontoites right now.
Yeah, you guys are. I mean, the talent that comes out of there with Drake and all these people that we have from Canada, from Canada.
We're sorry about Justin Bieber.
There. I appreciate that apology. I do appreciate that because
and for Ted Cruz.
Yes. But and Bob and Doug McKenzie, I can't forget those guys from.
By the way, speaking of Canadians, because Wayne's World from Saturday Night Live was modeled after Mike Myers, of course, who's Canadian, modeled after community television in Canada. They went online this morning with a new commercial for Uber Eats, and it is brilliant. They reunited the Wayne's World cast.
Really?
And I think Nicki Minaj is joining them.
I'm excited to see that because I know there's kind of been a rift between Mike Myers and Dana Carvey for a couple of years over some of the stolen whatevers. But I think at our age, I'd love to see a Wayne's World 3 where they've had some sort of burnout kids that have some sort of adventures. And you might as well. We got all these other things regurgitating.
It's, what I grew up in Scarborough. And so we are all very proud of Wayne's World, but I'm not sure why.
Well, a lot of the talent, a lot of the creative thoughts from that came from Scarborough Channel 10. And right. Wayne's World was Aurora Cable 10. And I believe Mike Myers for a while has spent some time at Scarborough Channel 10.
Yeah. It's great. And you talk about, the greatness of that. And I just wanted to say, again, the thanks for the NFL for allowing the Disability Channel to be here at the Super Bowl for the last 4 years. And, we haven't gotten the current stars that we normally get because the league won't be them here. But, being here on Tracy's show and continuing to showcase the guests that I've had, the big names that Drew Bledsoe was on yesterday. I had JB Smoot, David Keckner, all these names that they see that I don't have legs and they're like, yeah, let me try this out. And they know, and they realize that, hey, these people with differences can be journalists, just like Tracy, and then they open up and then they talk about more stuff. So I've been so blessed with the opportunities of, using this little, iconic symbol. It does mean something to people and the leagues and everybody. So I'm so thankful, to be able to have, we have 2 hosts with no legs, and there's no other show like that. It should be called 1.5 people or something. I don't know.
Isn't this the great equalizer though? Because someone looking at us right now, like you have no legs, Tracy has no legs and no hands, and parts of her arms are missing. However, just being here, this is equality, across the way. Now, and I live with depression, and depression is now being recognized by a lot of insurance companies as being a disability, and rightly so in a lot of cases when it does become severe. But here is the great equalizer.
And this is what it's all about with what Tracy's doing and her impactful message. Still with COVID, she's out there, telling her story again. We look at us, and this is our normal. And would I have wanted to have been born with no arms and no hands and no legs? No. So I look at Tracy and I go, wow, she's amazing. My story pales in comparison. So if we look at people having it way worse off than others, that's what the Disability Channel is all about, trying to have that inclusion and give those job opportunities that Jay Stoyan and everybody in Toronto is trying to do with Anna Marie Blivens and, Onward and Upward and all these amazing things, now being in Milwaukee with Kurt Roscoff and Cynthia and those hosts. So I'm just hoping that we can continue, now that I'm working with Ability Media here in the States at Quinnipiac University, it's the same goal. After we're done, I just had Elena Galan from TLC Smothered, and she wants to host a podcast, and she's a great person who's overcome so much with her choices. And I said, hey, I'm going to connect you with Jay Stoyan, and you can have your podcast on the Disability Channel. So Tracy can teach her, and you guys can work with her and mentor. And that's what we want to do. We want to get our voices out there so everybody can hear. I had a guest this morning. I had Mindy Shear, who is in charge of Runway of Dreams, which is putting disabled people on the New York Fashion Week and being on the runway. And they've just named me their Inspirational Man of the Year. So I get to go to New York and be on the runway. But it's these things that are going to lead to more opportunities for us, that we need to be us, because only 3% of all actors on television and in movies are portrayed by people with disabilities. And we need to change that. And so with what the Disability Channel and everybody's doing with you guys, hopefully we can get there in a few years.
It unfortunately, I just had a vision of you in a strapless evening gown.
I'm too sexy for my cat. What do you think about that?
Oh, it's all in the headdress. You'll rock that pathway. And you talk about podcasts, an extraordinary podcast out there. If I'm streaming clearly, you guys take over if I'm not, is the Happy Molecule. So I would love, right after this break, we're going to stop for a short message to hear all about the Happy Molecule.
All right, guys, I'm going to take off because I got to get back to work with some big guests coming up. But I want to thank you and thank you and everybody. It's great to be a part, and we'll try to reconnect more in the shows down the road. And again, keep doing what you guys are doing up there for the Disability Channel, and take care.
All right,
Thanks
we'll
for
see you on the
joining us,
runway.
Dave. Take care. Dave,
right.
Stephen, folks. The Disability Channel, way down in Tampa, checking out the Super Bowl. We'll be back right after these messages with Kevin Frankish, with the Happy Molecule, and Unstoppable Tracy. Bye for now. See you shortly in a few minutes. are back from our break. Thank you for joining us. You know, it was absolutely extraordinary having a surprise pop-in guest with Dave Stevens joining us right from Tampa Bay Super Bowl. And, you know, I think the Super Bowl is filling a lot of souls out there, whether you're in the Super Bowl or not. And so I'm so excited that Mr. Wellness Extraordinaire, the Happy Molecule Man, Kevin Frankish, many of you know from Breakfast Television days, many, many years. Kevin, thank you for coming on the show today.
You haven't asked me about my hat, Tracy.
I'm dying to ask you about your hat. I'm so glad. You're so fun. So please do. I'm looking at, I see Mayberry, North Carolina.
Okay.
What's the story?
I mean, the hat itself is the Andy Griffith Show. Mayberry, North Carolina is where it's from. And I loved that show as a kid. And I was in North Carolina a few years ago, went off the interstate into Mount Airy, which is what Mayberry was modeled after. So I bought this hat there. But the reason I'm wearing it isn't because I love the show. It's because in isolation, I haven't had a haircut in a while. So it's all up under here.
Well, that might be a great way to come out of isolation when it's time. You're just the grand reveal.
Well,
then all these locks will cascade onto your shoulders.
I was talking with someone the other day, and I was thinking, what is isolation going to do to fashion? When we come out of isolation, is long hair going to be back in?
Yeah.
Because, people have done that. Is short hair going to be back in as sort of like, this last thing I want to be reminded of is isolation? Are we going to wear ties to meetings anymore? I hope not.
I have no idea. You know what? And gray. I see a lot of my friends who I never knew had started gray, and they're all rocking the gray.
Yeah. And why not? Yeah, most definitely.
Much more authenticity. And I can't see the comments out there, Kevin, but I believe that 90% of us are wondering if you're even wearing pants.
Well, okay, hold on. There we go. Yeah. I wear shorts all the time and no socks.
So, you've certainly found life balance in your outfits with your fun shorts. So tell us a little bit about your career. I mean, you were an award-winning show. You were part of a team. You're always so humble. That ended up being Breakfast Television. And then here you are now, Happy Molecule. Can you tell us where it all started?
Well, you know what? I had to do something, first of all, to keep myself sane during isolation. So I started a show, and you were on it a few times, called Kevin's Isolators.
Yes.
And that turned into the Happy Molecule, which is now a podcast. Sunday evenings, we have a Facebook Live show. And then there's a website, there's a blog. And Happy Molecule refers to dopamine. Dopamine is the hormone that your brain makes that gives you pleasure. And sometimes we don't have enough of it. So the Happy Molecule is all about positivity, good advice, and giving you as much dopamine as possible.
Oh, I love it. Whenever I'm around you, I get bundles of dopamine that start oozing around my body.
I always tell people this when it comes to mental health, that your mood, whatever mood you're in, is very contagious. Here we are worried about catching COVID. Here we are worried about catching a flu. And we should be worried about catching moods, because you can be out somewhere and be near someone and they can be in the most negative mood. You go home and you realize, I'm just feeling miserable. I don't know why, because you caught it. So what we can do to really help society in general and help people and help our friends is try and find reasons to be in a good mood, and be in a good mood around people. Like when you're around Tracy, there's absolutely no way you can be in a bad mood. There's absolutely no way, because you're contagious in that mood, in that good mood.
Well, clearly like minds like each other. So, you're the happiest person on the planet. And, you have just, how do you counter offer the negative effects of stereotypes and unconscious biases is to surround yourself with people that bust that roadblock of the way you think about somebody. And so you are not how I would imagine somebody with depression would be. And
Well,
I'm imagining you've got a lot to say about that.
Well, depression is a misnomer. Depression doesn't mean you're sad all the time. Depression, it more refers to in your body the depression of dopamine and of cortisol and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So yeah, I mean, it can mean you're sad, but at the same time, you look at the actors and the comedians and things like that who have depression in public. You wouldn't think there was anything wrong with Robin Williams. You would not think there's anything wrong with. I mean, Donny Osmond. Let's talk about Donny Osmond, seeing as we're all a little bit older. Donny Osmond, when he came to Toronto to do Joseph, which was probably the best Joseph I've ever seen, he started in with anxiety. It hit him, and he would be afraid to go on stage every night for a while until he took hold of it. But you wouldn't notice that on stage.
No. I saw that one, and I know the director of the show saw that one. It was extraordinary.
Mm-hmm.
It was phenomenal. So
Yeah.
on the theme of positivity, and the Disability Channel is definitely glass half full. It's kind of fun that we're here. You are Kevin Frankish, and if people want to be Googling who you are during the show, just
Don't do that.
Kevin Frankish on every platform. But will you, while our viewers are Googling and stalking you, if they don't already know who you are, what's a favorite positive TV story from your past, from your breakfast television days?
What's a positive? You know what? The best way to answer that is to just talk about my family at breakfast television.
Oh,
A lot, we laughed and yucked it up on the air, and we kidded each other, and and people would say, I just love how you look like you're having fun. I said, it doesn't look like we are having fun. And I think that's the most positive thing, is we genuinely loved each other as family. And when when you say, okay, we'll be back after this break, you think, oh, all right, fine. No,
yeah.
we'd carry on. We'd carry on. In fact, the control room would get mad at us all the time. Guys, pay attention.
I've been a super fan of yours forever. But when I got to meet you face to face, and then you have just been incredibly generous with me forevermore, was when I was a interview host for the Disability Channel at the Easter Seals jump. They were doing a big jump from a 25-story high-rise building. And I was jumping. I was going to scale the building. And you were there as a host as well. And it was so fun to be with you. And you were hilarious. You were completely I think you threw your leg up on a table and challenged me to tie my shoelace because you knew my viral story.
Put up your hands. Show your hands, Tracy, because you don't see them a lot. All right. How the hell is someone who lives with that able to tie a shoe? There's no way, right? And so it's one of those stories, like Dave was saying. Listen, you look at someone else and you say, oh God, and I thank God for these. However, that would stop most people, but there's a reason you're called Unstoppable Tracy.
Oh, I want to be Unstoppable You and the Unstoppable Disability Channel, not just myself, which is so great. And you know what? I made this joke on my podcast, Unstop the Story, where Kevin Frankish, I say he is Frank-ish.
Yes.
He's straight shooter. How many people would say, who the heck can tie their shoes with hands like that? And so he completely frank, straight up says what it is. And I remember trying to introduce him. And I was beaten around the bush about how do I talk about mental wellness and how do I talk about Kevin's connection? And you just went right there. First sentence of the show, isn't it sad that we can't just call depression? I believe it's what you said.
We spend so much time trying to ignore, and we think we're doing it for good reasons. Don't ignore Tracy's, ignore Tracy's hands, ignore her feet, ignore that. Okay, just ignore. It's almost like Tracy doesn't know it yet.
Yeah.
And we don't want to let her know. But do you know what? As soon as we start talking about it, it's who you are.
Yeah.
It's part of who you are. So you know what? We don't need to ignore it. We need to make jokes about it. You need to make
Yes.
jokes about it. Self-deprecation, and just make people feel comfortable. If people can actually say something, then we can move on, right?
Yeah.
We can move past a disability. We can move past, I mean, it could be even talking about race. Once we
Yes.
just say, hey, you're this color, you're that color, and allow that person even just to make a joke about that,
Yeah.
then we move on as human beings, right?
Yes. I always say if people are trying to ignore the fact that I have a disability, then I don't have a leg to stand on with them.
Oh, boom, boom.
Bad joke. And there's no arm in self-deprecation.
No, there isn't. There isn't. It's the cards we've been dealt. So you can either sit there and be sad about it. And again, this is advice I give people who live with depression and anxiety and stress, is I say, hit it head on. Admit it. Tell everybody who will listen. Admit it head on, and then let's just move on.
Yes. And I do not want to move on. So what I'm going to do is ask Kevin, will you hang out till past the break for
Yes.
at least one more commercial? And if I'm lucky, a few more commercials. But at the moment, I need to just take a quick break for this commercial message, and we'll be right back. And we're going to find out from Kevin, what's the opposite of depression?
Okay.
And we're going to ask Kevin about what's in the future of it all. And he has a few very interesting fables. So there is so much more that I want to ask Kevin about. So stay tuned. We'll be right back after these messages with the Disability Channel, Your TV, Kevin Frankish, and Unstoppable Tracy.
Let's show Canadian pride. Our wounded warriors need your support now. These guys have given their all. Now it's your turn.
So welcome back, folks. Thank you for watching the Disability Channel. Thank you for watching the Today Show. I am Unstoppable Tracy. So lucky to be bringing on the show today, Kevin Frankish. He's known now currently as part of the Happy Molecule series, Happy Molecule, and many of you know him from his legacy of breakfast television for many years. And I am so proud to be bringing on the director of the Disability Channel and the Today Show and all of the shows you see on the Restream and the Disability Channel platform, on Roku as well, and Halton TV, Your TV, Jay Stoyan. So welcome.
Hi, everybody. Thanks, Tracy. Thanks, Kevin. Thank you for bringing me on today. I've been watching the show. Terrific show, guys. I love the segment with Dave. That was amazing. Just so remarkable, the information dynamic. Kevin, thank you for sharing your story. Very important for our community to know celebrities like yourself. And believe me, you are a celebrity. So celebrities like yourself, it's very important for our viewers to know, like, we're all the same. You know, even though that we see you on TV, everybody has issues. Everybody deals it with at their own speed. So I really thank you for sharing that for us. And to have you on our platform is like very
fun. This is great. I love this.
You know,
It's
like we
so
watch
great.
you every morning with breakfast television. And I love that segment you did with your family at breakfast television. They're such a good group. It's so important for people to watch that show in the morning. Like, it's just part of your coffee. Like, it's just wake up.
Yeah, and you know
Watch
what?
breakfast
Every
television.
single one of them, without exception, are the same way off the air as they are on.
Oh, that's so nice
Lovely
to hear. Yeah. Actually, I was down there and Dina interviewed me probably about 2 or 3 years ago. And I remember, well, first thing I remember is very good looking and very tall.
Yes.
She's very tall. I'm like, wow, you're really tall. Dina. Wow. So yeah, so it was a very nice experience.
Well, half of that's her hair.
So true. So true. This is true. Well, I won't stay here long. I just didn't want to come on and I wanted to give away raffle off another gift courtesy of the Disability Channel. So we have some swag, we have some car stuff in here, we have a bottle of wine, we have some Irish Spring products valued at about $150. And the winner his name is Andrew Johnson. So what we like to do is reach back to our community, our subscribers, people that support our channel, and say, hey, if we can, we want to give something back to you. So I want to congratulate Andrew Johnson. We have all his information. We will be in touch. And this is actually our third gift giveaway. So we're starting a trend now. So I want to thank you for that. I want to thank our sponsors for providing all the merchandise. Terrific. And I just want to mention a couple things. I want to thank because we're at the Super Bowl this week, and we've really reached out to our media partners and associates and friends, and they've all stepped up. So I want to thank the boys at Q107. I want to thank John Derringer and Ryan Parker. I was on there yesterday morning. Wonderful interview. Just like the guys are the best. The guys
They're great.
And I want to thank the guys at TSN. We have Josh Reimer on our platform now, and they've been very helpful to them. I want to thank the NFL. I mean, come on. And I want to say there's a little special surprise that the Disability Channel is going to be a part of tomorrow. So make sure you get your Toronto Star. Okay. Get your Toronto Star tomorrow, and you will see something in there. So I just want to let you know. Okay. Yeah, so that's very exciting. Kevin, before I go, I know you've been in the business a few years now. Could you share maybe some tips or an experience for new people starting out in the media world? I'm sure they would love to hear something from you.
Do you know what? Yeah, and it's funny. I was thinking about this a little bit earlier. Go with your gut. There's going to be a lot of times that if you, and it can be whether you're getting into the professional business, you're getting into podcasting, you're trying to do your own YouTube show, whatever. There's going to be a lot of people who are going to say to you, do it this way. No, don't do that. Do it this way. What I suggest is take all the advice in. There's some good advice, but you're your own person. The one thing I could not stand throughout my entire career was when someone said, calm down. I could not stand it when someone said, calm down. I get passionate. I get excited. And if I'm going to get excited about a story, I want people at home to know I'm excited about the story.
Yeah.
So be your own person. Trust your gut. Trust your gut. And, we talk about that in mental health a lot too, as well, is trusting your gut. If you've got a weird feeling, it's your gut trying to tell you something. If you have a good feeling, it's your gut trying to tell you something. So, take all the advice in, but do what you think is right. Because if we didn't, we wouldn't have individual broadcasters that we remember. We would not have people who stood out because they'd all be the same. And we don't want to do that.
That's right. Well, thank you, Kevin. Thank you for sharing. Tracy, doing a wonderful job. I love watching the show. This is going out to a lot of people, either live or in editing version. And we're a lot more than just entertainment, but we are entertainment. We have a message, and the message is opportunities for all. Whether you're disabled, whether you're a veteran, or whether you're just Joe Blow walking down the street, if we can support you, we will, because that's what we do. So I want to thank you for having the opportunity to appear on the Today Show with our anchor, Tracy, and our co-host today, Kevin Frankish, world-renowned Kevin Frankish. So thank you, guys. Have a great show. I'm signing off. We'll talk to you later.
All right, Jay.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Jay. He's so extraordinary. He's the reason there is the Disability Channel.
Tell me about Jay, okay? Because you guys take things for granted, right? You do these shows, and then you forget sometimes you have new people who watch. And so they, who the heck is Jay? What does he do? What's so great about Jay?
Yeah. Well, good. And Jay's the founder of the Disability Channel, and he's the one that's created employment for dozens, if not hundreds. And he's now taken this Toronto program that's on a Roku, which is extraordinary, but it's also now on cable TV, and we're expanded out from Toronto out to Halton and more regions in Ontario, to now expanding out to the USA, right? We are now North American, the Disability Channel. And it started with a one-man show, Jay, his camera, his voice. And Jay, some people don't know, an interesting fact is that he used to have a show on right before Friends.
Okay.
So he's got his own television and media career before the world. So we get to leverage off of those experiences, but he's very generous in platforming all of us now.
Yeah, that's
and
wonderful.
He kind of invites all of us into growing our potential so that we become bigger, better versions of ourselves in the media world. It's like a tool to expand on, which is extraordinary. And, Jay's talking about how, yes, we're an entertainment, but we are a message for all. And you have a message for all, and it's cored into some pillars. And this is how you tackle and face, frankly, with lots of humor. That's the ish part, Frankish style, with all your fun humor. And you ooze Mayberry. It's so
Yeah,
funny
great.
that you love that town, because that's you. It's funny, and it's real, but it's warm, and it's rooted in lived experience of love in a community. And so what are your pillars that give you this unbelievable loyal following?
I think the talking and listening is a pillar. The communication, for many, many reasons. But if you live with depression, tell someone. And if they won't listen, tell somebody else. And tell somebody else. It is one of the best ways I can stave off panic attacks is by, hey, I think I'm having a panic attack right now. Telling someone. And their reaction is always going to be, you don't look like it. So yeah, reaching out. The other thing is listening. So if someone comes to you and you're kind of thinking, oh man, here comes such and such, they're going to complain about how they're not feeling well and they're this and they're that. Tough it out, suck it up, and listen. You don't have to solve their problem.
No.
Just listen. That's all most people want. In fact, it is one of the number one things that people who have attempted to take their life by suicide say afterwards when someone says, well, why didn't you do it? It's usually because someone listened. I just need someone to listen. So you know what? It may seem weird when someone comes to you and someone says, I have depression. Or they've said it to you a million times. Listen to it. Really listen to it. And don't say, what can I do to solve it? What can I do to help you? Why don't you do this? What? Just say, okay, well, tell me how that feels. Tell me about that. What's that like? What happened? Don't try and solve it. So that's really, really important.
Yes.
You had mentioned some before we took the break as well.
Yes, about the opposite of depression.
Yes. And the opposite of depression is not happiness. I mean, that's a byproduct of the opposite.
Yeah.
And this is only me. Okay, these are my thoughts.
Oh.
And if you want to argue them, you can argue them. It doesn't matter to me, but these are my thoughts. I feel the opposite of depression is hope. Because when you have hope, it will, I want to say trump anxiety, but I think we've lost that word in our lexicon, haven't we? It will stamp out anxiety and stress. If you have hope, that's the best way that's the exact opposite of what you want to be. So hope. And it starts with little things. It starts with things saying, you know what, tomorrow, I'm gonna go for a nice walk. I'm gonna go for a nice walk tomorrow. That's what I'm going to do. And you have some hope, something to hope for. It's small, but it's something to hope for. So give yourself things to hope for rather than worry about. We spend, excuse me, we have roughly 6,000 to 7,000 thoughts a day. And out of those thoughts, and this has been done by researchers, 80% of what we think about every day is negative.
Yeah.
What do you think that's going to do to your body, to your physiology? it actually physically changes you. Negativity, it brings your immune system down. You get sick more often. It's linked to heart disease. It can lead to job loss, alcoholism, drug misuse. So all of these things. However, if we would just start being more positive and hopeful. Have you ever noticed your happy friends, like Tracy? Your happy friends don't get sick as much?
Oh, yeah.
And your friends who complain a lot get sick all the time?
Yes.
There's a reason for that. They're calling them, you have to have the hope. Be positive. And at first you have to almost force it.
Yeah.
All right, I've got a negative thought here. I'm going to turn it into a positive thought. Okay, but then it starts happening naturally.
Yeah. Yes.
And it makes a huge difference.
I think there's this, it's not for here, but this expression, the imposter syndrome.
Mm-hmm.
Like somebody we're calling you this celebrity, and you're like, that's not me, Trace. But you are a celebrity, but you feel like you might be an imposter or don't deserve that title. And as a person with a disability, sometimes you enter a room and you spend a long time feeling like I deserve that job, or I deserve that promotion, or I deserve this relationship, or I deserve this friendship, or I deserve this show. But then when you get it, you feel like it's an imposter and that you're somehow not ready. And I think that's also in the world of whether you're feeling up or down. Everybody's like, oh, you're so happy. And say, I often go in like being who it is I want to invite into being.
Mm-hmm.
So, I go in there happy and positive and confident, even if I'm not feeling those things inside. But I very quickly catch up to that feeling. Like I was petrified to jump off that 25-story building when I was with you that day, and nobody thought that I was, but I was scared out of my mind.
Yeah.
But I just faked it. And then once I was halfway down the building, you're already halfway there.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
It's very true that sometimes we think of ourselves as imposters, or we think we're undeserving.
Yeah.
And so if you're really good at the piano and someone says, wow, are you ever good at the piano? Oh, no. You know what you need to do? You need to stand up and say, you're damn right I'm good at the piano. I'm really good at the piano. And that is not bragging. You're patting yourself on the back. You're saying, hey, we have learned from a very early age, don't say anything nice about yourself. And we've also learned, now not directly, but we've learned not to be happy. Because if you're happy, then when bad things happen, you're going to fall like a rock.
Yeah.
And so we go around being very careful about being in a good mood, about being happy, because we're always thinking that in 1 minute a plane is going to crash on top of me. Yeah. Instead of thinking it the other way. And the funny thing is that once you start thinking happy, thinking positive, then you really do attract positivity towards you. It is a proven fact. I'm not talking about some new age mumbo jumbo. I am talking about being positive sets things in motion so that positive things happen to you. Why do you think if you're driving a car and you are in the middle of an icy parking lot, an empty icy parking lot, and let's say it's very icy and you go into a skid and there's one lamp post in the middle of that parking lot, just one, you're going to hit it. Now, why? Why would you hit it?
Because I thought it.
You were looking at it.
You focus on.
So I looked at it because I don't want to hit it. However, what our brain says is you want to go there because we look where we want to go. We don't look, we spend our life looking where we're going. And so our brain tells our feet and our hands and everything to go in that direction. So now our brain is saying, oh, you're looking at that lamppost. All right. And there will be imperceptible signals, but signals nonetheless that get sent to your arms and your hands that will steer you towards the lamppost because you want to go there. There's been many studies, because sadly we've lost police officers on the side of highways because they have their flashing lights on. In a lot of cases, they're being told to turn the flashing lights off because people see the lights and their mind says, you want to go there? And it automatically goes towards it. So it's the same thing with a positive, good mood and being positive. You will steer yourself in towards positive situations. It works.
Yes.
I promise you, I'll give you all your money back if it doesn't.
Yes. Yeah. What you focus on grows, and what you head towards. It's like the appreciative inquiry. If you ask, what's the problem here? You find the problem. If you ask, what worked last time? Then you find what works. What kinds of questions you ask, what you focus on. I love it. Focus on the positivity. And whether you're feeling it, the focus will drive you towards those better feelings and attract friendships like I have with Kevin.
Yeah, and with many people. Everyone you come in contact with becomes a friend.
Yeah.
You're like a friend magnet.
Yeah.
Well,
feeling is mutual. I am so lucky that you came on the Today Show. We're going to see it on cable TV in Halton. We're going to see it on Roku with 35 million viewers. We're going to see it on Restream on the Disability Channel. But today was the Today Show with the Kevin Frankish extraordinaire, now known as the Happy Molecule Man. You can find his podcast and his Facebook shows on YouTube. You search Kevin Frankish, and over to you to say, where do you think people can find you best?
Yeah, any podcast directory, just look up The Happy Molecule and go to thehappymolecule.com. Join me Sunday evenings on my Facebook page at Kevin Frankish. And we do a Sunday evening Happy Molecule. It's just a get-together. It's become a family. And it's become a whole bunch of people are just like, oh my gosh, I've had so much of isolation. Yeah, me too. And you know what? We commiserate with each other, but we convince each other and remind each other it's going to come to an end and it's going to be okay. And if I could talk about the Disability Channel, folks, what you need to do, and you don't know how valuable this is just simply tweet, put something on Facebook, Instagram about, including the link for the Disability Channel. Your little... you don't think that you have any power, and ask people to retweet it or repost it or forward it along. It does make a difference. If you enjoy what Tracy does and Dave and Jay, then tell
Kevin,
others about it.
Kevin, thank you for that invite. So that's right. Retweet, re-social, share, and encourage followers for the Happy Molecule, Kevin Frankish, and the Disability Channel. And you can throw in Unstoppable Tracy.
Unstoppable Tracy, at Unstoppable Tracy.
Thank you for joining the Today Show today. It was extraordinary having Dave Stevens live from Tampa with the Super Bowl. And then we have Jay Stoyan, the director of the Disability Channel, giving away a gift, which was so great for one of our viewers today. And then the piece de resistance was Kevin Frankish.
Thank you, Tracy. That's very sweet of you.
So thanks for watching, folks. Please be sure to subscribe and follow and like and tag the Disability Today Show and the Disability Channel and Kevin Frankish and Happy Molecule. We'll see you again next week. Bye for now.
Bye.